Welcome to this very special edition of the KAJ Politics Live, the show where politics meets clarity. Here we go beyond the headlines to provide context, insight, and perspective on the forces shaping power today. Welcome to the show, Eric.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Ajay.
Wonderful. Welcome to the show. Welcome to India in this online form. But what we'll talk will obviously be beneficial to a lot of people across the globe. So we'll talk about from you. You are a Democratic candidate from Illinois' 2nd District. And we'll talk about grassroots politics, explore why traditional institutions have left communities behind, how to build a campaign centered on affordable housing, economic justice, and safer streets, and what people-powered politics actually means for overlooked voters. We'll talk about all this. But first, let's understand a bit about your journey, your background, so that the audience knows who they are listening to.
Absolutely. So let me start out with this. I am not a career politician. That is not what I've done my whole life. It's not who I am or what I do. I am a professional. I've been a management consultant for more than 35 years and been a land developer at the same time. I build communities, I build things, I get things done, to say as much as I can. That having been said, I grew up the son of two public servants. My mother, who worked in the juvenile court system, and my father, who had the greater or lesser confidence of 6 mayors in Chicago, everyone from daily to daily over the years. And he was, he was the fixer. If you've ever watched Scandal, he was Olivia Pope before Olivia Pope was thought of. That was who they called in to get things done. So I come from a background of knowing how to get things fixed and how to get things done and working together with people, putting together unlikely coalitions as best and getting that type of support to get things done.
Absolutely, Eric. Thank you for that. But to understand it better for the audience, let me ask you this way. How should I, talk to you in a way? Should I consider you as a politician who is a guest, or a guest who is also a politician? How would you want people to understand about who Eric France is?
I want to say in my vocabulary, politician has become a dirty word, because politicians are usually cutting deals for themselves, not for the people. They're not really necessarily representing the interest of the people. We are grassroots to the point that as we come from wherever we come, we need to go there to a House of Representatives and actually represent people and constituents, not private interest or lobbyists or anything on that level. We need to get down to the nitty-gritty to bring back the services that are needed. In my district alone, there's been 30 plus years of disinvestment. Now, plenty of politicians has thrived and raised their profile during that time, but none of them have had a fresh new vision. None of them have moved things forward.
Absolutely, Eric. So what are you doing on the ground? You say you are a candidate for Illinois, Democratic candidate for Illinois 2nd District. Help us understand, what is it that you are doing? Politicians talk a lot. You also said politicians talk a lot. So how people differentiate between you and other politicians? A lot of politicians before power, they talk almost the same. You listen to them and it will sound the same. But as soon as power comes into their hand, they get busy. It is a very busy life for them.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, this is part of the difference with me. I spend a lot of times and a lot of miles on the road in this district. This is probably one of the most ridiculously drawn districts in the United States. It's 4,500 square miles with 450 farms. And it is urban, suburban, poverty-stricken, suburban affluent, and rural. It is the most craziest mix. Those people all have different needs. And I have to listen and be attentive to them. So I actually go to the people. I actually, instead of telling them how I'm going to fix their problems, I listen to find out what they need in their parts of the district. And that is how we do effective grassroots politics. You have to not only be passionate, but you have to be present. This is the only way that you're going to affect change. If I'm going there moving my agenda forward, but I don't understand yours, and that's going to be a problem for both of us. That's just a fact at the end of the day. How am I different than the politicians? Because I've actually done the things that I talked about. Don't get me wrong. We got some very fine legislators in my race who've done a lot of policy things, but they haven't built affordable housing. They haven't raised money for education. They have not done the things that I've done on that level. They've not done economic development. They've not done job creation. These are things that I do in my everyday life, in my private practice of business. Now I want to take what I do from the private sector and expand it into the public sector as I want to take care of more people and see these things get done. It's very hard to sit at home and watch people spout all the garbage they do and then have never done it. Because honestly, if they were capable of that in their last job, there'd be no room for me to even run in this job. So as much as I'm running on my record of what I've done in the past, and I've got receipts, I can show people projects, I can show my leave behinds. I'm running on their records too. And they don't have what I have.
Absolutely, Eric. So, to understand it better, what does genuine representation mean to you at a local level?
Well, let me say this. All politics are local. If you're not at the local level, then you're really not doing the job. There's always going to be stuff in the White House and Washington that we need to key in on to represent our people. But if we're not meeting the basic needs and bringing back the foundations to our localities so that they can live better lives, so that they have jobs, they're making money, they're able to expand their family, they're able to grow their wealth, then we're not doing our jobs. It shouldn't be a case where only a few people can access such based on who they know or what they see. But it should be accessible to everyone. I would rather people have problems not because no one was paying attention, but because they decided they didn't want to participate.
Absolutely. So, you say, for too long, our communities have asked for opportunity and fairness only to be met with silence from the institutions meant to serve them. Help us understand this better, especially for people who are there also, your constituents, but also outside who are interested in the US and want to know it better.
So let me take it from the Washington perspective and then bring it back home. In recent months, the United States has allowed $40 billion to go to one foreign country, Argentina. We're bailing them out, and that's a country with national health care and a lot of other socialized programs. We just gave them $40 billion. In my district alone, that has 750,000 people in it, there are 126,000 who are below the poverty line. That does not mean that everyone else is doing great. It just means that they haven't hit rock bottom yet. So having said that, those are the people who we need to make sure we take care of first in the localities. Where is the mental health care? Where are the jobs? Where's the economic development? Where is the housing for people? My wish is, being the developer that I am, is that we take care of the housing issue. There shouldn't be any homeless. We shouldn't be building another shelter. What we ought to be doing is building supportive housing with services for them to get on their feet. We shouldn't have a case where someone who wants a home can't buy a home. Period. Everyone's not going to have a big, beautiful mansion, but no one should be without a home. And here's the thought. If you're renting from someone else, you are homeless too, because you do not control your own destiny. And this is the mentality that we have to change. This is what I bring back to the district and to the localities that we're talking about. We need to refocus our things on local cities, because in the meantime, places where we had thriving business districts, they're all crumbling and closing down. There's nothing there. We have cases in our district where sometimes people have to drive as far as 70 miles just to get their basic needs met. There are food deserts. There are medical deserts. there are things that are just gone completely.
Right, Eric. Right. So, what are the challenges that you are facing? These are good ideas. What is the problem? Why is it that people are not doing it? Or I want to understand from your point of view, what are the problems that we are facing? You can, if it's part of the process, if the law, the institutions have to do it, and then they should do it. Why are they not doing it?
Well, that's a good question, because we as the public don't hold them accountable. And that's part of it. If we keep sending people back and we don't have a choice of good people to send, and we keep sending people back who haven't done anything in their last job, and we give them a promotion, how's that fix anything? If you haven't delivered these services in your last job or in your life, why should I elect you to a higher office now? The United States Congress is a big deal. I can say I've done big things long before ever going into the government arena to even want to hold public office. But I have things I can bring to that. I will hear people tell me about bills that they sponsored or legislations that they've sponsored, but they haven't done anything of what they're talking about. And even if you have the legislation without the knowledge to deliver them, it's like having nothing at all. It all sounds good, but is it delivering my basic needs? Is it making my life better? We have to get people off of the couch like I did and get back into the process.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I don't know who is there as the House of Representative, but if I understand, you are a Democratic candidate,
I am
and
indeed.
yes, and you have got two senators from Illinois. If I understand, they are also both Democrats.
Well, we have
You can
two
talk to
state
them. Why are they
senators.
not helping you out?
Well, we have two state senators who are in my race. Are you speaking of the U.S. senators? The two U.S. senators right now are doing what they're doing. I'm not going to say they're doing wrong or they're doing right. I can't speak for their agendas. In my race alone, and all the races in Illinois this cycle, they're all very crowded. For the United States Senate seat that's opened up, there are 15 candidates alone in that race. In my House race, there are 10 candidates. In another House race, there's 15 candidates. It's a lot to do in a little piece of time. I don't begrudge any politician who's not shown up and jumped on the bandwagon, but guess what? I'm not the most attractive one, because I'm not the career politician who's been doing this and has that network. I'm here for the people, to take care of the people, not to take care of the politicians. So my message does not resonate necessarily with all of them to jump on board. When I go to Washington, I think I'll have their full support and then some. But in the meantime, I don't think they're going to jump out on the limb to come behind me. We're in 6 months, the last 6 weeks of this campaign. It is go time now. We're going to see. It's about turning out the people, not turning out the politicians.
Absolutely. Why is it that, some politicians are able to forget the people who have, elected them to power? And why is it that people seem to have to lose that power of making them or holding them accountable? How would you look at it as a candidate?
Well, I look at it and I start from this perspective. What have you asked them for? What is the agenda? We've not even held them responsible to delivering from an agenda. Part of leading, as I said before, is listening before you lead. You've got to create that people's agenda and then hold these people accountable for it, including myself. When you send me, hold me accountable for what you asked for. But instead, what we've been tending to do is check out of the process altogether and give up on it. In the last presidential cycle and the cycle of Illinois voting, there was less than 20% turnout. So what does that really mean? The 80% of the people who stayed at home really decided. And that's happening in the local offices too. When you get down into the roots of what's really going on in the localities, They're not even getting 20%. Some areas are getting 8 to 12%. So if you've only got 8 to 12% of the people deciding what's happening for everyone, that can be a problem. So we have to re-energize our folks to stop just complaining, but to get out here and make their voices heard. They have to show up. If you like a candidate like me, you got to show up for them. And not just on election day, but leading up to election day, after election day, financially to get them to election day. What we do know in America is only about 3% of the actual registered voters even contribute to a political campaign. So that leaves room for the special interest groups to come in and dominate what the agenda is.
Absolutely. Do you think the divisive forces are winning so that people are becoming more enchanted, and the not so good type of people they are elected, and this thing helps them?
I think there is a certain segment of the population that enjoys suppressing the vote. I do indeed. They are not reaching out and doing the things to get people excited, to have the numbers show up that will really have the effect on our democracy in America. I think we've got to do a better job at mobilizing people. I think we've got to do a better job at serving people. I think we've got to do a better job at getting the message out and getting the response from those people that we need to understand that we're meeting their needs and go with the right agendas. Right now, if I ask 10 people what the agenda is in America for democratic politics, I will get 10 different answers or no answer at all.
Absolutely. So how do you plan to take genuine representation? What does that mean to you in terms of the local level? You already said, but in planning to engage, overlooked communities in the political process, because they have a busy life. Everyone has a busy life, and they don't trust many people in the political circle. They might be interested in what is happening, but don't. So how will you bring the disengaged communities and get them into this whole political process?
So I spend a lot of my time dealing with the disengaged communities now, and in hearing their concerns, it gives them hope. And I don't want to just give them hope. I do have to give them the change that Barack Obama talked about in hope and change. It's not one without the other. And as I show up and they feel they have a chance, they are more energized to come back to the process, because I'm the only one not only listening to their needs, but trying to do something about them. People want to pat themselves on the chest and talk about what they've done and what legislation they've done. Guess what? It's not about legislation. It's about really understanding what this system is. If you really understand the job of a congressman is the coordinator of local resources. The aldermen, the mayors, the other local government officials, you coordinate and know what the needs of the people are. But as the congressman, what my major job is, I am the bringer back of money and resources. I'm what allows you to get them done. So if no one's doing that, a lot of people at these local levels cannot accomplish what they want to. In one part of my poverty-stricken district, they've had a water crisis for more than 30 years, where the water is not fit to drink, or to bathe in, or to brush your teeth, or do anything. It needs a $75 million fix. In the scheme of things, that's not a lot of money and what it would take to stabilize them. And over all these years, I'm dealing with senior citizens who are on public aid, who take their $23 a month in food stamps and benefits, and they have to use it to go buy clean water. We got to do better. But you got to go to these communities to get these stories and understand that, and then know how you're going to attack it. So that tells me I've got work to do in Washington to bring back that money to that community. I've got work to do in Washington to bring back money for housing and economic development in every end of this district. It's been forgotten. Here we are in a case of the new millennium. We're 25 plus years into it now. And we're still acting like it's 1995. We've not upgraded our infrastructure to the level it needs to be. But we're sending money to countries around the world, helping them with their problems and not helping our own with our problems. If our house crumbles, how are we going to help anybody else?
Right, Eric. Are you an optimistic politician or you are not so optimistic politician?
I'm not a politician, but I'm a very optimistic person. I believe in the people of the 2nd Congressional District of Illinois. I've seen them do well. I've seen it in the past. I know it can be done again. I come out of a family where my father ran the anti-poverty programs in the city of Chicago in the 60s and 70s. That's a fact. I saw all the good he did, and I've watched it be undone because of disinvestment in our communities. Defunding everything, the closing up of resources, not doing what we need to do to serve the people. And they still survive, but not at the level that they should. We need them to not only survive, but to thrive.
Absolutely. So you talked about Washington, D.C. several times.
Yes.
How does the politics of Washington, D.C. make you feel? Does it make you feel optimistic or does it make you feel pessimistic?
It makes me feel frightened. Neither optimistic or pessimistic, but it makes me feel frightened. We have a lot of work to do in regaining control of the country for the country. I don't think you'll find anybody who's happy right now who has good intentions with what's going on in Washington, D.C. That is why the people have taken to the streets. That is why people are not being shot in the streets. They're being murdered. Plain and simple. We turn against each other to a certain level. And this is not good, whether it is for U.S. citizens or whether it is for immigrants. No one should be scared to send their children to school. No one should be scared to open their front door. No one should be scared to go to the grocery store or just walk the streets casually. This is worse than a police state. It is a state of emergency, all right, but against the wrong people.
Absolutely. So how would you like to, in a nutshell, how would you like people to know? Because this show goes a lot of places in the US. How would you like your district people to understand about your campaigning, about what you are standing for, and also in a wider level? This show is a global show. How would you want people to understand what you are doing, to understand people about your type of politics that you are trying to bring?
Well, the bottom line is this. It's the way I was raised. If you're not taking care of home, then what are you doing? The rest really doesn't matter. We can't afford to not take care of our communities and our people and allow them to grow, because if they grow, we grow. If they die, we die. That's just the fact. Whether it's a public safety issue, whether it's an economic development issue, whether it's a healthcare issue, it's having the access that you decided that you need to whatever it is. No one should be left out. This is no man or woman left behind time. And in the past, we've left people out. I hear people who are in my race alone talk about how they raise money for Veterans Affairs and they put $2 million into veterans for the first time. I'm not going to give you the numbers exactly, but $2 million means I gave 20 people $100,000. That's not life-changing, and that leaves a lot of people out. I need 100,000 people to at least get $100,000. Maybe that might make a change. These are the things that we got to get messaging across in the mindsets of people who are in current jobs and people who are trying to go to current jobs. Go and represent the people. Stop representing yourself and your special interest or your personal interest. Even worse, it's not about the next office you want to go to. If you do right in the office you're in, the people will have no problem sending you to the next office. And higher and higher and higher, if that's your need. Me personally, I don't believe in that. I believe you serve the people where you are, and if the people call for you to go to something higher, then accept the call and go.
Right, Eric. So does your, you are not a career politician. So if you win, you continue to work. But if you don't, will you continue to work that you
I've
are
been doing
doing,
the
or
work
it will?
already. AJ, I've been doing the work already. In Illinois alone, I've built more than 2,000 units of affordable housing. That's a fact. Over the years, I've been doing the work. I brought back hundreds of millions of dollars for education for youth and communities and other programs around this country. That's a fact. It's not work that I'm unfamiliar with and not doing. It's what need do I need to address yet next and who's lacking. This is not me starting or stopping. It's me elevating the work for the people.
Absolutely, Eric. So is there anything that you would want to add which did not reflect in my questions and somebody from your district is listening to you?
I want people to understand it's time for a fresh, new, higher vision. We got to hold people to a higher standard. When in the past, we've been holding them to no standard at all. Do not keep repeating the same mistakes. If you're angry now with the people who are in place, don't elevate them. Period. If you're angry with the people from the past who did it, don't give them another chance to come back and do it again. Period. Hold yourself to a higher standard. Help me help you create an agenda so that we can meet the needs that are really important to you and not just focus on votes in Washington on national and international issues while your home keeps crumbling, from the bridges to the roads, to the education, to the infrastructure. Everything needs to be handled so that you can live a better life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Everything needs to be handled so that you can live a better life. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KAJ Politics Live.
Can I
Thank
say
you so
one
much
more thing,
indeed.
AJ? Please support our campaign wherever you are in the world. www.france4congress.com. We need your help. Follow us on all social media. We're on every platform there is, including Blue Sky. Follow us and donate. We need your help. That's what real grassroots is about. I take zero-pack money. No one owns me.
Absolutely. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KAJ Politics Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you, AJ.